What's up, everybody? Chad Boyle, real estate agent, Atlanta, Georgia. Just coming today. We're doing another Mojo video on how to best use Mojo. So things that I utilize, which I've found is a big time saver for me, are sublists. So you see here, we have the properties calling list. We have this calling list that I've created called cold call calling list. There's an option in here. If you see, I think it's right here where it says create sublist. So actually, like expired, this is a default setup by Mojo. And if you have data that you either buy through Mojo or in my case Vulcan 7 that's fed into it, this is where expired and for sale by owner data goes into the properties calling list. And all the expired, with the properties with a listing status of expired go into here. The problem is, you get stuff in here like this corporate owned. You see this right here. There's different property types. You see commercial. I don't want to call on those. There's land and farm. I don't want to call on those. Maybe you do. I don't. What I'm looking for is just residential detached and residential attached. Let's see what else. So, there's a couple ways to do it, without the sublist. You can come in here and, let's say, oh, these are my expireds, all these right here for 9/4, and you can come in and highlight these ones, and then you can launch your power dialer and you just hit selected records, and it'll call through the ones that you can manually filter this stuff out. But what makes it easier is if you create a sublist, which I've already created one here, and it's called expired scrubbed. And so basically it's my scrubbing of this expired data to only include what I want. And so you can see in here in property type, all that's in here is residential attached and residential detached. And then phone number, you can see there's some in here that these are obviously bad phone numbers that I've had that I need to take out of here, but there's none of the corporate owned in here because I filtered those out as well. So the way you do that, and we can take a look at, we'll view the filters list just for this one that I have set up. And you can see the listing status is expired. Property type, it's just residential attached, residential detached, so it's filtering everything out. And then in this full name, I want to include everything that's not corporate owned. So if it's corporate owned, it's not going to be picked up into here. So those are the filters that I use to create my expired scrubbed. So that way I come in here every morning, instead of going to the expired sublist, which includes the commercial, it includes corporate owned, so it doesn't even have a phone number for that. I created this expired scrub so I can just come right here. It's filtered out all the property types I don't want. It's filtered out all the corporate owned, so those are gone. And it leaves me with just the records I want to call on, so it saves a lot of time. I did the same thing for withdrawn. Withdrawn's another status. When a listing is withdrawn from the market, it comes into here, and again has the same, residential developed lots, I don't want to call on that. Anything corporate owned in here, I don't want to call on. So I've done the same thing with withdrawn scrubbed to make sure that all those things I don't want to call on, they're already filtered out of here. And I'll tell you what I also did on, today's September 4th, it was September 1st on Friday, and it was expired day, obviously. So I had over 100 expireds come into my database and into my expired scrubbed. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure that I called. So there's about 4 to 5 zip codes that I focus on. I call on a pretty wide range, maybe 20 to 25 mile in radius, but there is a section of near me that I do focus on, and I wanted to make sure I called them first. So what I did was I just went into here, clicked on the view filters list, and it's already, all my filters are already in place. But what I did was I went here to city, and then I just started all the cities that I wanted to make sure I called on. I just added the filter for those. So as you see, there's 591 entries, and then I filter that out, and now there's 184. So, and I was only calling on the stuff that's on the first. So obviously, I think it was about of the 100, it was about 40 records. So what I did was utilizing these filters, I was able just to limit it to the specific my core market area. That way I can call all those expired first. And then what I did was came back in here, and I came in here, got rid of, just removed the city filter. So now I got everything. And see, it goes back to the 591. And then what I was able to do, you got to save it. Then I was able to come here, click on power dialer, and then what I did was dialing. See, status change 9191, and then all I did was hit. I called all the records that I didn't dial today. So that would have excluded all those ones in my core market area and taken it out of the list. And so then I would be left with all the ones with a status change of September 1st that I hadn't called that day. So that was everybody else. That was about roughly the 60 that were outside of my core market area, but are still in the area I call them. So it made it easy to just kind of make that change on the fly, just to make sure I hit my core market area first when there's a lot of data in there. Now I'll tell you one other benefit to using these sublists versus just going through and, hey, I'm going to call these, I'm not going to call that guy, or this, I'm not going to call that guy, is when you look at your reports. If you go to your session report, let's say last week, we'll just pull one up here. Here's another benefit to using the sublist. So you can see here, it tells you in the group or list that you called expired, expired scrubbed, withdrawn scrubbed. If you just go through and select them, then all you get is this selected contacts. Sometimes I do that when I do my follow-up calls, which was the case here. So when you do the selected contacts, and that's where you just manually go select what you want, the group or list is just listed as selected contacts. So technically you don't exactly know who it was that you called that day, what list or what group. That way when you do use the sublist, you're able to rename it, and it tells you, expired scrubbed, withdrawn scrubbed. So I know these were my expireds. This is my expireds here. Last week I had 16 hours on the phone. Also door knocked about 7-8 hours. So a good week of prospecting last week. So that's kind of what I wanted to go over today, just the utilization of the sublists within Mojo, and how that can help you kind of streamline things and help you out in your reporting, be able to know who you called. Real quick, this cold calling list, this is all the phone numbers in my core market area that I'm calling into, just cold calling. As you can see, I got 42,450 records in there. And what I did was I broke it down by zip code, the zip codes that I want to target. All these zip codes here that are listed here, or the majority of them, they're targeted because they have all the sales in each one of those zip codes. Of those sales, at least 70% are houses built either in 1995 or before. So trying to target people with lots of equity. And so I did the same thing here with the sublist that I did over here with the properties group, where each one of these zip codes is a sublist. So it just allows me to call each sublists separately so I can focus on one zip code, dial through it, and then just move to the next one. So that's what I wanted to share with you. You know, if you got any value out of this, go ahead and like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, comments, go ahead and add those. I'll definitely give you a quick response. If there's anything else I can do to help you out in your real estate sales business, just text me, call me, 678-761-2493, and we'll see you on the next one, guys. Thanks.